The rain hammered against the windows of the small apartment like tiny fists demanding to be let in. Emma stood in the corner of the living room, her worn sneakers still damp from her shift at the grocery store, watching her stepmother Patricia pace back and forth like a caged animal. The air in the room felt thick and heavy, the kind that makes breathing feel like work. Emma's fingers twisted the hem of her faded green sweater, the one with the small hole near the elbow that she always tried to hide. She knew something bad was coming. She could feel it in the way Patricia's eyes kept darting to her, then away, then back again. Her stepsister Sophia sat on the leather couch, perfectly manicured nails tapping against her phone screen, not even bothering to look up. The contrast between them had never been more obvious. Sophia, in her designer dress, hairstyled in perfect waves, looking like she stepped out of a magazine. Emma, in her second-hand clothes, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail because she never had time for anything more elaborate. Patricia finally stopped pacing and turned to face Emma, her lips pressed into a thin line that meant trouble. "There's been a change of plans," Patricia announced, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Sophia can't go to the blind date tonight." Emma felt her stomach drop. She had heard about this blind date for weeks now. Some wealthy businessman that Patricia's friend had arranged for Sophia. They had spent hundreds of dollars on a new dress, shoes, even jewelry for the occasion. Sophia finally looked up from her phone, rolling her eyes dramatically. "Mother, I told you, Marcus just invited me to his yacht party tonight. That's way more important than some boring dinner with a divorced single dad who probably can't even walk properly." The words hung in the air like poison. Emma watched Patricia's face turn red, then purple, then settle into something calculating and cold. "We can't cancel," Patricia said slowly, her eyes now fixed on Emma. "The Matthews family arranged this, and they're important business connections. If we don't show up, it will ruin our reputation." Emma took a step back, already knowing where this was heading. "No," she whispered, but Patricia was already moving toward her, grabbing her arm with fingers that dug in like claws. "You'll go, in Sophia's place. You'll sit there, have dinner, make polite conversation, and then leave. Simple." Emma tried to pull away, but Patricia's grip only tightened. "I don't even know this person. I can't pretend to be Sophia. We look nothing alike." Patricia laughed, a sound without any warmth. "He's never met either of you. Just tell him you're Sophia. Smile, nod, and get through the evening. You owe this family that much." The words "you owe this family" echoed in Emma's mind. It was always about debt with Patricia. The roof over her head, the food she ate, even the air she breathed, seemed to come with a price tag attached. Emma looked toward her father, Thomas, who had been sitting silently in his armchair the whole time, pretending to read the newspaper. His hands were shaking slightly, the paper rustling with the movement. "Dad," she said softly, hoping for something, anything, a word of protest, a sign that he cared. Thomas cleared his throat, but didn't look up. "Just do what Patricia says, Emma. It's just one dinner." The betrayal hit harder than any slap could have. Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of them. Sophia stood up, smoothing down her dress with a satisfied smile. "Perfect. I'll need my car tonight anyway. Emma can take the bus." She walked past Emma, deliberately bumping her shoulder, leaving behind a cloud of expensive perfume that made Emma's eyes water. Patricia released Emma's arm, leaving red marks that would probably bruise by morning. "The reservation is at 7, at the Grand Wellington. Wear something decent, if you even own anything decent. And Emma." She paused at the doorway, her smile cruel. "Don't embarrass us. Remember, you're nothing without this family." The door slammed behind them, leaving Emma alone with her father. The silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. Finally, Thomas folded his newspaper, still not meeting her eyes. Your mother would have wanted you to help the family, he said quietly, before shuffling out of the room. Emma stood there, alone, feeling the weight of those words. Her mother had died 8 years ago, when Emma was only 14. Cancer had taken her slowly, painfully, leaving Emma with nothing but memories, and a father who seemed to have died along with his wife. Even though his body kept moving through the motions of living, the bus ride to the restaurant felt like traveling to another planet. Emma had put on the only dress she owned that might pass for formal, a simple navy blue dress that had belonged to her mother. It was a bit loose on her now, but it was clean and didn't have any visible tears. She had tried to do something with her hair, but her hands had been shaking too much, so she left it down, hoping it would hide her face if she needed to disappear into it. The Grand Wellington stood before her, like a palace made of glass and gold. Doormen in uniforms that probably cost more than she made in a month opened doors for people who walked like they owned the world. Emma stood across the street for 5 full minutes, watching, gathering courage she didn't have. She could leave right now. Take the bus home, face Patricia's wrath, maybe even get kicked out. The thought of being homeless in the rain almost seemed better than walking into that restaurant and lying to some stranger. But then she thought of her mother's dress, the one she was wearing, and how her mother had always told her to be brave, even when being brave felt impossible. With shaking legs, she crossed the street and walked through those golden doors. The hostess looked her up and down with barely concealed judgment before Emma managed to whisper that she was meeting someone, a Mr. Daniel Cross. The name felt foreign on her tongue, like trying to speak a language she didn't know. The hostess led her through the restaurant, past tables of people who looked like they had never worried about money a day in their lives. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow patterns on the white tablecloths. The soft sound of a piano played somewhere in the background. And then she saw him. Daniel Cross sat at a corner table, his back straight despite the wheelchair he was in. His dark hair was neatly combed, and he wore a charcoal gray suit that fit him perfectly. Next to him, in a booster seat, sat a little girl who couldn't have been more than 5 years old. She had the same dark hair as her father, tied up in 2 pigtails with pink ribbons that didn't quite match her yellow dress. The little girl was coloring intently on what looked like the restaurant's kids' menu, her tongue sticking out slightly in concentration. Daniel looked up as Emma approached, and their eyes met. He had kind eyes, she noticed immediately. Tired, maybe a little sad, but kind. He started to smile, then seemed to notice something that made him pause. Emma's heart was beating so loud she was sure everyone in the restaurant could hear it. She stood there, frozen, unable to move forward or run away. The little girl looked up from her coloring and grinned, revealing a missing front tooth. "Are you the lady Daddy's having dinner with?" she asked loudly, causing several nearby diners to glance over. "My name's Lily. I'm 5 3/4. Daddy said I could come because Mrs. Chen couldn't babysit tonight. Do you like unicorns? I'm coloring a unicorn right now, but I'm making it purple because purple is better than white." The child's rambling broke through Emma's panic. She found herself moving forward, pulled by something in Lily's innocent enthusiasm. She sat down carefully, placing her worn purse under her chair, where no one would see it. "Purple unicorns are definitely better," Emma said softly, managing a small smile. Lily beamed and held up her coloring, which showed a roughly drawn unicorn that was indeed very purple, with what appeared to be rainbow wings added for good measure. Daniel cleared his throat gently. "I'm Daniel. You must be Sophia." The lie stuck in Emma's throat. She opened her mouth to speak it, to say yes, "I'm Sophia," just like Patricia had ordered. But looking at this man with his tired, kind eyes and his daughter with her purple unicorn, something inside her cracked. "I'm not," she whispered, so quietly that Daniel had to lean forward to hear. "I'm not, Sophia. I'm Emma, her stepsister. They sent me instead, because Sophia had something better to do." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "I should go. I'm sorry." This was a mistake. She started to stand, but Lily reached out and grabbed her hand with sticky fingers that probably had purple crayon on them. "Don't go," Lily said, urgently. "Daddy's been sad all week about this dinner, and you're the first person who likes purple unicorns." Daniel gently touched his daughter's shoulder. "Lily, sweetheart, let's give Emma a moment." But he was looking at Emma when he said it, and something in his expression made her sink back into her chair. "Why did you come?" Daniel asked after a moment. It wasn't accusatory, just curious. Emma looked down at her hands, twisted together, in her lap. "Because they told me to. Because I always do what they tell me to. Because I'm too weak to say no." She laughed bitterly, surprising herself with the honesty. "I'm the girl who doesn't matter, sent to fill in for the one who does." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. Not at her, but a gentle, understanding laugh. "You know what's funny? I didn't want to come either. My business partner's wife set this up, insisted I needed to start dating again. I haven't been on a date in 3 years, not since." He glanced at Lily, who had gone back to coloring, and didn't finish the sentence. But Emma understood. She could see the story in the way he held himself, protective of his daughter, wary of the world. "She left?" Emma asked gently. Daniel nodded. "Car accident took my leg's full function. Wife took everything else when she left 6 months later. Said she didn't sign up for a disabled husband." The words were matter of fact, but Emma could hear the old pain underneath. They sat there for a moment, two broken people at a fancy table, while Lily hummed a tune that might have been from a Disney movie. Then Emma made a decision that would change everything. "Well, we're both here now," she said. "We might as well have dinner. I've never eaten at a place this fancy. I don't even know what half the things on this menu are." Daniel's face transformed, with a genuine smile. "Neither does Lily. She's already asked if they have chicken nuggets 3 times. The evening that followed was nothing like Emma had expected. Daniel helped her navigate the menu, explaining dishes without making her feel stupid. Lily chattered nonstop about her kindergarten class, her best friend Madison, and her pet goldfish named Mr. Bubbles, who had died last week but was now swimming in heaven. Emma found herself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months, when Lily accidentally knocked over her juice, spreading orange liquid across the pristine white tablecloth. Emma immediately grabbed her napkin to help clean up, not caring that several people were staring. Daniel watched her with something soft in his eyes. "Most people would have been upset," he said quietly, while Lily was distracted by the waiter bringing more napkins. Emma shrugged. "It's just juice. I've cleaned up worse at the grocery store, where I work." She expected him to look down on her for having such a simple job, but instead, he nodded with what looked like respect. "Honest work," he said. "I started my company working in a warehouse, loading boxes. People forget that all work has dignity." As the dinner continued, Emma found herself relaxing in a way she never did at home. Daniel told her about his technology company, how he'd built it from nothing after his accident, determined to prove he wasn't broken. Emma told him about her mother, about the stories she used to tell, about how she'd wanted to be a teacher before she got sick. Lily showed them both every single picture she'd colored, and by the end of dinner, Emma had purple and orange crayon marks on her dress from wear. Lily had climbed into her lap to show her a particularly important drawing of her family. "There's Daddy in his fast chair," Lily explained, pointing to a figure in what was clearly meant to be a wheelchair. "And that's me with Mr. Bubbles when he was still alive. And that's the mummy I'm going to have someday. She has long hair like you." Emma's heart clenched. She looked at Daniel, who seemed embarrassed. "Lily, we talked about this," he said gently. "I'm not sad anymore when you're here," Lily told Emma seriously. "Daddy smiles different, like his real smile, not his pretend smile he does for work, people." Daniel's face flushed. "Lily has a very active imagination," he said, but Emma could see something vulnerable in his eyes. The waiter came with the check, and Daniel insisted on paying, despite Emma's protests. As they prepared to leave, Lily grabbed Emma's hand again. "Will you come to my school play next week? I'm going to be a flower, a purple flower, because purple is the best color." Emma's throat felt tight. "I don't think," but Daniel interrupted, gently, "you could come, if you wanted. It's Thursday at 3. I know it's probably during work." He trailed off, looking uncertain, nothing like the confident businessman he probably was in his office. Emma wanted to say yes more than anything, but reality crashed back down on her. Patricia would never allow it. This had been a one-time thing, a substitution. "I should go," she said softly. This was ... This was wonderful. But I'm not the person you were supposed to meet. I'm nobody special." Daniel moved his wheelchair closer, and for the first time, reached out to touch her hand gently. "You're wrong," he said firmly. "You're the person who made my daughter laugh. You're the person who didn't stare at my chair or treat me like I'm broken. You're the person who told the truth when you could have lied. That makes you very special." Emma felt tears threatening to fall. No one had called her special since her mother died. She squeezed Lily's hand one more time, memorized the feeling of Daniel's fingers on hers, and then pulled away. "Thank you for dinner," she whispered, and then she ran. She heard Lily calling after her, heard Daniel saying her name, but she didn't stop. She ran out of the restaurant, past the doorman, into the rain that had started falling. She ran until her lungs burned and her feet ached in her cheap shoes. She ran all the way to the bus stop, where she collapsed on the bench and finally let the tears fall. Her phone buzzed with a message from Patricia. "How did it go? Did you embarrass us?" Emma deleted it without responding. Another buzz. This time an unknown number. "You forgot Lily's drawing. She wants you to have it. It's the one of the purple unicorn flying over a rainbow. She says purple unicorns bring magic to sad people. We both think you're magic too." Emma clutched her phone to her chest and sobbed harder, not caring that people at the bus stop were staring. The next 3 days were torture. Patricia had been furious when Emma came home and refused to give details about the dinner. "He wasn't interested," was all Emma would say, taking the slaps and the harsh words that followed. Sophia laughed about dodging a bullet with the crippled loser, and Emma had to bite her tongue until it bled to keep from defending Daniel. She went to work, came home, went to her room, and tried not to think about kind eyes and sticky purple fingers and what it felt like to be seen as special. On Thursday afternoon, she was stocking shelves when her manager told her someone was there to see her. Her heart stopped. There in the cereal aisle stood Daniel in his wheelchair, wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt instead of a suit, looking nervous. Lily wasn't with him. "How did you find me?" Emma asked, her voice barely working. Lily insisted. "She's quite the detective. We went to every grocery store in the area." He wheeled closer, and Emma saw other employees watching curiously. "She's at school right now, getting ready for her play. The one that starts in an hour." Emma shook her head, tears already forming. "I can't." Patricia would. Daniel held up a hand. "I met Patricia and Sophia. They came to my office yesterday, apparently having heard about my company. Sophia tried to claim she was the one at dinner, that there had been a misunderstanding." Emma's blood ran cold. "What did you do?" Daniel's smile was sharp this time. "I told them the truth, that I knew exactly who had been at dinner. The woman who helped clean up juice without complaining. The woman who knew that purple unicorns were better than white ones. The woman whose kindness my daughter hasn't stopped talking about for 3 days. He reached into a bag beside his chair and pulled out a piece of paper. Lily's drawing of the purple unicorn. I also may have mentioned that my company was looking into some business dealings with Patricia's husband's firm, and that I value honesty in all my partnerships." Daniel's expression was innocently bland, but Emma could see the steel underneath. It's amazing how quickly people's attitudes change when money is involved. Patricia suddenly thought it would be wonderful if you could spend time with Lily and me. Emma stared at him. You threatened them? Daniel shook his head. I simply made it clear that I knew exactly who Emma was and who Sophia was, and that I had no interest in liars. He looked at her directly then, his eyes warm. But I have a lot of interest in someone who told the truth, even when it would have been easier to lie. Someone who treated my daughter like she mattered. Someone who didn't see my chair but saw me. Emma's manager appeared suddenly. Emma, you can leave early if you need to. Family emergency or something. She winked and walked away. Daniel grinned. I may have also spoken to your manager. Mentioned how lucky they were to have such a dedicated employee. How my company often partners with businesses that treat their workers well. Emma didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is crazy. You don't even know me. Daniel's expression softened. I know enough. I know you're kind when no one's watching. I know you put others before yourself. I know my daughter, who is the best judge of character I've ever met, decided within 5 minutes that you were going to be her friend. He paused, then added quietly, and I know that for the first time in 3 years, I want to see someone again. Not because anyone arranged it, not because I should, but because when you ran away in the rain, all I could think about was how empty that table felt without you. Emma stood there in the middle of the cereal aisle, wearing her ugly work vest, her hair in a messy bun, and felt like she was in a dream. But Daniel was real, sitting there patiently, hopefully, waiting for her answer. The play starts in an hour, she said finally. Daniel's face lit up. Lily will be so happy. She made me promise to try to find you. She said purple unicorns always bring people back together. Emma laughed, really laughed, and it felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. Let me clock out and change. She started to walk away, then turned back. Daniel, thank you for seeing me, the real me. Daniel's smile was soft and genuine. Emma, thank you for letting yourself be seen. 20 minutes later, Emma sat in an elementary school auditorium, wearing her mother's navy dress again, but not caring that it was the same one from dinner. Daniel sat beside her, his wheelchair in the aisle, and when the curtain opened and Lily appeared in a purple flower costume that was clearly homemade and absolutely perfect, the little girl scanned the audience until she found them. Her face exploded into joy, and she waved so enthusiastically that the teacher had to gently remind her to face forward. Daniel reached over and took Emma's hand. She practiced that wave for you specifically, he whispered. She said you would come. She said the purple unicorn magic would work. Emma squeezed his hand back, watching Lily bounce through her performance with unbridled enthusiasm. Maybe she was right about the magic, Emma whispered back. 6 months later, Emma stood in a different dress, a simple white one that Lily had helped pick out. It wasn't fancy or expensive, but it was hers, bought with her own money from her new job at Daniel's company, where she'd discovered she had a talent for organizing and managing projects. The courthouse wedding was small, just Daniel's parents, a few friends, and Emma's father, who had finally stood up to Patricia after Daniel's influence in the business community made it clear that treating Emma poorly would have consequences. Patricia and Sophia weren't invited. Lily stood between them as the judge spoke, holding both their hands, wearing a purple dress because of course she was. She'd insisted on being the flower girl and the ring bearer and the maid of honor all at once. When the judge pronounced them married, Lily cheered so loudly that everyone in the courthouse turned to look. Now you're my real mommy, she announced to everyone. The purple unicorn magic worked. Daddy doesn't have his pretend smile anymore, and Emma doesn't look sad when she thinks no one's watching. Daniel laughed, Emma cried happy tears, and Lily hugged them both so tightly that Daniel nearly tipped backwards in his chair. Later, at the small reception in Daniel's parents' backyard, Emma's father approached her quietly. Your mother would be so proud, he said, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. I'm sorry I let Patricia. Emma hugged him, really hugged him for the first time in years. It's okay, Dad. Everything led me here. To them. She looked over at Daniel, who was letting Lily paint his face with what appeared to be purple face paint, both of them laughing. Sometimes the wrong path leads you to the right place. That night, as Emma tucked Lily into bed, in what was now their home, the little girl looked up at her seriously. Emma, Mommy, do you know why purple unicorns are really magic? Emma smoothed down Lily's hair, so like her father's. Why, sweetheart? Lily smiled sleepily. Because they know that the best families aren't the ones you're born into. They're the ones that find each other. Like Daddy found you, and you found us, and we all found our happy. Emma felt tears slip down her cheeks as she kissed Lily's forehead. You're absolutely right, my love. As she turned off the light and went to find Daniel, who was waiting for her in their living room. She thought about that rainy night when she'd been forced to go on a blind date she didn't want. Patricia had been right about one thing. Emma had owed something to family. But the family she owed it to wasn't the one that had treated her like she was worthless. It was this one, the one that saw her value from the very first moment. The one where her little girl's purple unicorn magic had brought 3 broken pieces together to make something whole. Daniel looked up as she entered the room, his face lighting up with that smile that was just for her. Everything okay? He asked. Emma curled up beside him on the couch, feeling the solid warmth of him, the safety of being truly home. Everything's perfect, she said, and meant it. Because sometimes the worst moments of our lives, the ones where we feel most alone and unwanted, are just the universe's way of pushing us toward where we really belong. And Emma had finally found where she belonged, right here, with purple unicorns and sticky fingers and real smiles, and a love that saw her for exactly who she was, and said, "You're special," and meant it. The end. Poor girl was sent instead of her sister on a blind date. The single dad CEO didn't let her leave, because he recognized something real in a world full of pretense. And in finding each other, they all found themselves.